I'm Taylor Locke. I'm with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, with the local chapter based out of Albany, New York. I'm on the board of directors for that, and I oversee our annual Mental Health Week program.
Can you tell me a little bit about your mental health
Of
journey?
course. So I was abused throughout most of my childhood. And then during my freshman year of college, I was sexually assaulted. I attempted suicide a couple of months after that and was then placed on a forced medical leave of absence from school due to the suicide attempt. And then I was kicked out of my home and disowned by my family the following Christmas. So I've had a lot of challenges, and it's definitely been a difficult journey. But through overcoming those obstacles, I have been able to dedicate myself to helping others with their mental health issues, and that's really what motivated me to become such a strong advocate for mental health.
What was it like telling your story publicly for the first time?
Uh, so I think the first time I told my story publicly was actually just about a year ago. I was at a state legislative lobbying day, um, and there was it was a big rally for mental health policy, and people had the opportunity to go up and talk on the megaphone to the crowd, and something just hearing all the other stories from other people, that's what motivated me to want to go up there. And so I did. And I talked about my story, particularly with how much backlash that I've received from my administration with some of their very punitive policies, with forced medical leave of absence and the frequency of student suicides on campus. So I really talked about that. And it was just such an incredible experience doing that for the first time. And then I've continued to really publicly share my story since then in a variety of formats at both the local and state levels, as well as opportunities to do that at the national, international level as well. And it's been really empowering for me, but it's also been so rewarding seeing my story resonating with other people, and knowing that I'm inspiring others and letting them know that they are not alone in their journeys.
Yeah, and when I was looking on your website, you talk about being a national and international advocate. What is it like getting your message out worldly?
It's an incredible experience. Like I said, I've really been haven't been in the mental health field publicly for very long. I was kind of just doing stuff locally in my community, at my school, and then last June, I applied for NAMI Nationals, Next Gen Community of Practice program, which is a national network of young leaders in the mental health field from across the country. So I got accepted in that. And a couple of months later, I got appointed as one of the US representatives for the Global Mental Health Peer Network. So I've just had such incredible opportunities to be able to engage with other advocates at the national level and the international level, and just knowing that there are so many other advocates out there that are doing such incredible work has been so inspirational to me. And I've suffered a bit with imposter syndrome and feeling like I don't really deserve to be where I am right now. But having all these other people around me that are continuously telling me that they're impressed with my work, and then I'm looking at their work and I'm really impressed with that. That's okay, I guess I do deserve to have this seat at the table. And it's been such an incredibly rewarding and motivating experience and journey.
How does helping others help your own healing journey?
I think the biggest thing for that is really just seeing other people realize that they are not alone. Um, I I struggled with that so much at the beginning of my mental health journey. I had no support or structure with my family back home. They blamed me for both being sexually assaulted as well as my suicide attempt, and then kicked me out within a year after that. And so I didn't feel like I had the support at the time. Um, and I felt very alone during that process. So being able to share my story publicly to let other people know who are going through similar struggles, that they are not alone. And for people to come up and tell me that made a big impact on their life and their journeys of recovery has been so helpful for me to also process my own personal trauma, to know that I'm not alone and I'm surrounded by so many wonderful peers and advocates that have incredible journeys and deserve to have all the support that they need.
For me, I live with bipolar disorder too, and I wasn't diagnosed, or I didn't go to even be diagnosed until I was 37, so only 6 years ago. And I always think what my life would have been like if I realized it younger or got help younger. But do you see younger people being more open to tell their story?
Yes, and I think we see that too with like the data, with the percentage of people who are seeking therapy, with the younger generation as well as those who are receiving diagnoses. I think it I think it's around 27% is like the total average of people who are diagnosed with some mental health condition at some point in their lives. And it's significantly higher than that for younger generations. So I think we are slowly starting to chip away at the stigma surrounding mental health and not being afraid to go out to seek help and go to therapy, and other ways to be able to support that. And the same thing is we're seeing a huge emergence in younger advocates in the mental health field as well. I work very closely with so many amazing peers who are all, younger than 30 and have incredible experience and are doing such phenomenal work. So I think both in terms of seeking out help as well as really leading the advocacy front for the younger generation, we're seeing a lot more of that, and that's great. It gives me a lot of hope to know that we're picking up the torch and we're going to keep fighting the good fight, to make sure that everyone gets the help they need.
What is it like working with NAMI?
NAMI is such a phenomenal organization. They started several decades ago as a grassroots organization, just a small group of people who were looking at all of the issues that existed in the healthcare system. And we're like, this isn't working, and we really need to have people with lived experience being a part of this process and really peer focused effort. So they started their own organization, and now it's grown to be the largest national grassroots mental health organization, with 600 local affiliates throughout the country. And I think also another thing that's really phenomenal with it, is the different levels of the organization, because they have like the national organization that does all of the programming and the policy work at the national level, and you have state organizations that are doing that, the local legislation supporting local affiliates, and the local affiliates is really where we're doing the most work, connecting directly with the communities, with leading peer support groups for both persons with lived experience as well as family members of persons with lived experience, because it's really helpful to make sure that you're helping them to navigate how to be able to best support their family member or loved one who's struggling with their mental health. And then doing like tabling events and awareness and fairs and resources, and just sharing all of that information at the local level. And almost every single affiliate is almost entire at the local level is entirely volunteer led. Like for my local affiliate, our board of directors is entirely volunteer led. We only have one part-time staff member, and she is also a full-time staff member for the New York State as well. So other than that, all of us are volunteers. And I think that's just a testament to really the strength of these peer-led programs that NAMI offers, and just the importance that these programs are to supporting individuals with mental illness.
How important is it to have a support system?
It cannot be understated. With any form of mental illness, it is so important to have a support system. That can take a variety of different forms. Family and loved ones, some type of community-based support group, or organization like NAMI or something else similar to that. You can therapy, psychiatry, and I don't necessarily advocate for one specific thing, especially for the difference between like support groups versus therapy. Like one of those might work for one person, not the other. But regardless, it's still so important to make sure that you have those structures in place and those support systems, because there are going to be times that you're not doing well with your mental illness and that you need to rely on someone else. And if you don't have a structure in place for that, then that's when bad things can happen.
What do you do to help your own mental health?
You know, I I struggle with that, if I'm being honest. I'm definitely a workaholic, between NAMI and GMHPN and all the other organizations I'm involved in. So I'm just doing that at all hours of the day, really, because of how passionate I am. But sometimes it does become very taxing on my mental health, both in terms of just being burnt out, as well as the fact that this is really difficult work, and you, especially with being someone with lived experience, with these issues, like it can be triggering for me at times too, dealing directly with the work in the field. So as passionate as I am and as hard as I work, I also try my best to recognize, when I'm not doing okay, when I need to take a step back, and taking the breaks that I need. I lead a couple of support groups for NAMI, and as a facilitator, it's actually been very therapeutic for me, even though I'm not really a part of the support group, just knowing that I'm helping other people. And then I go to therapy as well. And then it's also just really important to take that time for the self-care, to just set time limits on my work and be like, okay, I need to take a break and do something for me, because otherwise I'm going to get burnt out, and it's not reasonable for me to be working that much. So it's something that I struggle with because I'm so passionate in the work. But I try as best as I can to not overwork myself and make sure I'm prioritizing my own mental health care.
What would you say to anyone going through a tough time?
It gets better. It might not feel like it at the time, but it gets better. I know in between the period of time when I was assaulted and right before I had my suicide attempt, I that was just rock bottom for me. I I felt like the world was over, and I just didn't want to be around anymore. Like it was my best friend who had assaulted me, and it was like, if I can't trust them and my family's not supportive, like who do I have? But now, it's been what, 4 years since that happened, and I still struggle with my mental health, but I have had such an incredible journey of recovery. I legally changed my name 2 years ago, to take on the name of my adoptive family, who have been so overwhelmingly loving and supportive of me in my journey, and just the amount of incredible opportunities I have that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't been here. So it can be so hard when you're really struggling, but you just have to hold on to that sliver of hope, no matter how small it may be, and to really turn to whatever support system you might have, even if you're like, I don't want to bother this person because I don't really like know them very well, or whatever. Like I've done that with like friends that I just didn't feel comfortable talking to. Talk to them. Like it's better for you to think that you might be bothering them than for you to be struggling alone. And that's something that I've realized throughout my journey, is to just talk to people. Don't isolate yourself and deal with your problems by yourself, and really just hold on to that hope that it is going to get better.
And you do so much already, but where do you want to see your mission, say, in the next 3 to 5 years?
So one of one of the programs I've been really involved with is the Mental Health Week program. So that I had started at uh, my school a few years ago, and it was something we used to do annually during National Mental Illness Awareness Week, and then COVID happens, and then I brought that back, and it was a really huge, successful program. At the time, the school had been really supportive of it. Uh, we started doing some advocacy work surrounding mental health policies, particularly with forced medical leave of absence and other issues with Title IX. Pretty much right after Mental Health Week, it was actually through data we had collected from students from that. The school wasn't very happy with that, and they decided that they were no longer going to support the program. In fact, they revoked the club status for both the NAMI on campus and Active Minds clubs that existed on campus. They threatened us with legal action if we hosted any events on campus, going as far as threatening us with a cease and desist order. And when I tried to file a formal complaint with the school's bias assessment response team, who deals with incidents of discrimination, they said that they would look into it, and then they sent me a letter saying that if I stepped foot on campus again, I would be arrested for trespassing. So they've made it abundantly clear that they would not support student mental health by any means, or to do anything to change their extremely punitive policies. That was when I decided to expand it into a community-wide program. So last year we partnered with 11 universities and over 100 organizations throughout New York's capital region. I literally reached out to every other school in the area that I could think of just to see who else would be interested in hosting this. I wasn't expecting them to all say yes, but they all did. And given just the phenomenal success of that program, like we received thousands of dollars in sponsorship from over 30 different corporate sponsors, and hosted 65 individual events throughout the week. Like, it was incredible. So we're now partnering directly with the Active Minds National Office, as well as NAMI New York State Office, to expand it into a statewide program, which for this year, which I'm super excited about. We're also planning on doing a film screening of the mental health film Good Side of Bad. Won several awards. It's outstanding film. We'll be doing a live Q&A directly with the filmmakers who I've been in direct contact with. So really, really excited for that. And I guess just with the momentum of that program, I'm really hoping to eventually be able to expand it into a national wide initiative, for be able to have schools and communities throughout the country to have their own dedicated programs during Mental Health Week as a huge collaborative effort of destigmatizing mental health and sharing resources. So that's something that I've been discussing directly with NAMI and Active Minds. And then the other thing that I've been working on, kind of just as a result of that whole fiasco with the way that my alma mater handled the situation, is I've recently started working closely with Eli's for Rachel, which is an alumni group that won a major landmark class action lawsuit against Yale a few years back for similar issues surrounding mental health. So we are in the process of trying to form a sort of coalition of students and alumni from various schools across the country that are dealing with similar issues surrounding mental health. Because, forced medical leaves and student suicides and discrimination against students with mental illness, that's not just a thing that happened at Yale, is still happening at my school. Like, that's happening at schools across the country. So that's something that we're working on. And we are also working on trying to rewrite legislation surrounding HIPAA and FERPA. So we've actually been in contact with the Library of Congress about that. So I guess the short answer to your question is I'm really hoping to continue the advocacy work that I'm doing and expand to be able to do more collaborations on a national level, and to do more advocacy work surrounding policy and legislation, particularly in higher education, because that's just where my focus is and where my journey in mental health started.
How can people reach out and learn more?
So they can go to my website, taylor-locke.com, and that has a contact form on it where they'll be able to reach out to me directly. It also has more information about all of the projects and programs and initiatives I'm involved in, as well as like links directly to the various organizations if they want to be involved in getting involved with like Active Minds or NAMI or whatever local mental health organization is in their area.